webinar brought to you by AACC Annual Meeting and Clinical Lab Expo Exhibitor University. My name is Teresa Ronk, and I am the marketing contact for the Exhibitor University. Today's webinar is entitled AACC Annual Meeting and Clinical Lab Expo Press Program. And we are very fortunate to have with us today Christine DeLong, who is the AACC Communications Manager. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type in your questions and Christine will answer your questions at the end of the presentation. As an aside, we will be sending you a copy of the slide deck. So please help me in joining Christine. Christine?
Hi, thank you very much. I really appreciate people taking the time to hear a little bit from us about how our press program is going to work and what we can do for exhibitors here. So what we're trying to do with this webinar is give a really basic overview of what the possibilities are with AACC's press program. But we'd also really like to hear from you what your questions are and how we can make the press program work for you. So as you can see, the most important thing I wanted to mention about the press program is that it is free to exhibitors. So everything we're talking about today is at no cost to you, and we hope you'll take advantage of it. So we started the press program in 2013, and we've had a lot of success since then. And after our first year, we learned a lot about when the best times for press conferences are and when you get the best reporter attendance. So starting last year and continuing this year, we have 2 press conference rooms, which gives exhibitors more opportunities to hold press conferences at the times when you're going to get the most coverage from reporters. So as you can see on the slide, the press conferences will be held on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the slots are 45 minutes each slot. And the slots are available 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday in those 2 rooms on the slide. So I know some people probably on this webinar did participate in 2013 and 2014, but in case you didn't, we're going to have the same amenities that were popular in the past. So that includes seating for 36 people in each press conference room, a podium including a microphone and sound system, an LCD projector and a projection screen, and speakerphone capability. And as I mentioned just on the last slide, the press conferences will begin each hour on the hour, and they can only last for 45 minutes. And for PowerPoint presentations, you'll have to bring your own laptop. AACC is not providing that. And I also want to be clear that organizations holding press conferences are responsible for providing call-in numbers for their event and providing call-in information to reporters if you want them to cover your event remotely. So we have the speakerphone capability, but you're responsible for the number and reaching out to reporters about that. And in any case, we'd love for you to think about being a part of our press program, and if you're interested in participating, I'd encourage you to reach out to us as early as you can with information about when you'd like to have your press conference and what you'd like the title of it to be. The sooner you get in, the better slot you get, essentially. So you can just send me an email, and my contact information will be at the end of the slide presentation. So I just wanted to take a second to talk through what a typical press conference looks like at a meeting like this. As you might already know, most press conferences have 1 moderator and 2 to 3 speakers. Anything more than that is probably going to be too much for a 45-minute presentation. So typically what works best at these kinds of meetings is for your moderator to set the stage for your story. So basically the moderator would explain, why is this news announcement relevant to patients? How does it help people in the field? Essentially what the moderator is doing is setting up the problem. And then you have your first speaker, who I would suggest you have speak for 10 minutes, and they give the first part of the solution to the problem that the moderator set up. Then the press conference flows to your second speaker, who again speaks for 10 minutes. And then if you have a third speaker, that person kind of wraps it all up. If you only have 2 speakers, the moderator would come back and wrap things up. So basically you have your speakers talking for 30 minutes, and then you have 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. So moving to the next slide. So just to give some tips on how to get ready for a press conference, once you've identified the speakers and the moderator for the news announcement you want to make at your press conference, you should really try to learn as much as you can about the announcement you want to make. So just do a lot of research on the subject. And then you can have an initial call to discuss the announcement with the speakers and the moderator and talk through what you think the press implications are going to be. And also try to get information from your speakers, who are generally people who are well-versed in the subject the press conference is about, and find out what they think is newsworthy about the announcement you're making. So after that call, what you would typically do is write up talking points, and these will tell the story that you will be presenting at your press conference. So for this, you want to keep in mind the time restraints, so 5 minutes for the moderator, 10 minutes for the first two speakers, and 5 minutes for the last speaker. And you just want to put down all the relevant information and set up the problem and the solution to that problem. So in general, putting the story together for the speakers is generally really helpful. Even if they're experts in the subject, these talking points can really help them to present all the knowledge they have in the most compelling way. So after writing the talking points, you would have another call with the speakers, and you would go over them, and sometimes they'll say, hey, you really missed the point here, or there are other things that are really more relevant to press or to patients or to the field in terms of new technology. Let's revise this. And then finally, once you've done all that and you have the talking points in a good place, you sit down and, again, like thinking about what you've talked about with the speakers, think about what are potential pitfalls that could come up at your press conference. So basically, what are questions that the press might come up with that your speakers need to be prepared to answer. And from that brainstorming, you would put together a Q&A document and share that with the speakers. So once you do all this work for the press conference, how do you get the reporters there? And so at AACC, we'll have registered media coming to the meeting. And what you can do is, to start, you can get the list of the media who came to the 2014 meeting. If you shoot me a message, I can give you that list immediately. And we're reaching out to more media for this year, as we do every year. And we'll have that registered list available as of July 13th. So we can share that with you then if you let me know that you're interested. And as I noted earlier, once you decide to hold a press conference, you're responsible for getting reporters to your press conference. So we work on getting the reporters to the meeting, but we want you to work on driving them to your individual press conferences. And the media list can be really helpful with that because reporters are generally thinking about 2 weeks before the meeting what they're going to cover at the meeting and what their stories are going to be. So that can be a really good time to reach out to reporters. And at that point, you should also have your talking points together for your press conference, so you can use those talking points to do a really good pitch targeted at the reporters you want at your meeting. And in previous years, we've had a lot of success with some companies who were pretty aggressive with reaching out to reporters. They let the reporters know about their press conference information before the meeting, and then even on the day of, they were emailing reporters and reminding them that the event was happening. And another good tactic that some companies have used is after the press conference, they bring reporters onto the show floor. So if you do have a new technology or a new product that you want to show, that can be a really good way to get reporters' attention. And I do just want to add that if reporters are planning on taking photographs or videotaping on the exhibit show floor, that they must be accompanied by an AACC staff member. So just reach out to me and let me know if you want to take reporters onto the show floor for a photography or video shoot, and I can arrange for someone from AACC to escort them. And then I wanted to let you know that also over the past couple of years since we started the press program, we've been trying to expand our press net and reach out to reporters who are interested in new technologies, but who may not be reporting specifically on the diagnostic field. So every year we always get industry and trade reporters, but we've been trying to reach out a little bit further and trying to grab people who may be covering things like the Consumer Electronics Show or just general news. So we're hoping to hear from you, our exhibitors, about what groundbreaking new products or cutting-edge technologies are going to be showcasing at the meeting. And we'd like to use that in our pitching to reporters to get them to come to the meeting. So some questions to keep in mind would be, do you have technology that will significantly affect patients, or will it allow them to be diagnosed more quickly, or will it help with treatment, or is it going to improve healthcare as a whole? Or alternately, do you have a new technology or product that's really going to change the field of diagnostics and laboratory medicine? That kind of stuff really grabs people and gets them excited. So if you do have something like that, and if you could send me 100 words about your exciting new technology, I would really appreciate it. AACC's communications team is going to start developing a plan to reach out to reporters in May, so getting your information to me sometime over the next couple of weeks would be great. And that's it, really. So that is our press conference program. And here is just the contact information for me. I'm Christine DeLong again. And then also for Molly Poland, who is our Director of Communications and PR. She can also answer questions you might have. So with that, I would like to open the floor to any questions you all might have.
Great. Well, thank you, Christine. And we do have some questions. And if you still can go ahead and type your questions in the question section on the side of your panel, and we will get to them. So the first question is there space for media interviews outside the press conferences and the exhibit floor?
Yes. Yeah, this year, for the first time, we're still working out the details, but we are going to have a room near the press conference rooms where it'll be a shared room, but you can reserve a spot in that room to hold interviews. And if you want to reserve a spot in that room, you can just reach out to me about that. And then if that room happens to not be available at a time you want to have an interview, you can also reporters can take you back to the press room to hold interviews. You can have interviews in your booth, or, you know, if we do have empty spaces in the press conference rooms during certain times, we can even make those available sometimes for interviews. So just let me know if you want to have an interview, when you want to have it, and we'll work something out for you.
Okay. Could you elaborate on press needing to be accompanied by AACC staff on the exhibit floor? How does that work?
So it's only if press plan on taking photographs or if they plan on videotaping. If they're just going on the show floor, they can do that on their own. But if they are going to take photographs or videotape something, for instance, at your booth, you just all you have to do is reach out to me and tell me what time you want to take them down to the show floor, whether it's right after your press conference or at another time, and I will either accompany them or I'll arrange for someone else on AACC staff to accompany them. It's usually, we've had this policy for the past 2 years, and it's usually worked out pretty well. So as long as we know in advance, it's really simple to coordinate.
Okay. The next question, what's the best way to promote our press conference to reporters?
So might be a bit of a long answer. So you would definitely start with getting the media list from us, both the 2014 media list and then this year's media list when it's made available, because those are reporters, you know, starting with the reporters who have been to the meeting before or who have registered this year, you know, those are really your best bet because you know that they're going to be interested in, they're looking for news at the meeting. And once you've got the media list, you want to start by reaching out to them via email because reporters get really inundated with people trying to get them to write about news, so you don't want to call them. And when you're promoting your press conference by email, you really want to target it. So whatever your subject is, you want to try to research reporters who have written about similar subjects, because reporters are more likely to cover your press conference if they have already covered similar news in the past, if it's on their beat, basically. So once you've identified some reporters who are interested in the topic you are talking about, then you would basically write an email pitch and with information about your press conference. And you want to keep it short, you know, make sure that the email fits in one window, basically, because you don't want, they're not going to read a huge essay convincing them to come, but just hit on the main points. Again, you know, why is the information at your press conference, why is it going to help patients? How is it going to change the laboratory medicine field? You know, think about, you know, if you were a reporter, you know, what would be news to you, and try and put that in your pitch.
Great. Well, thank you. So once I sign up for a press conference, will AACC ensure that reporters come to my press conference?
No, as I mentioned before, it is the company's responsibility to drive reporters to their press conference. We will definitely give reporters the press conference schedule, which will have your press conference title and the little, if you send me a little 100-word blurb about what your press conference is covering, we will give that to reporters. But we really do leave it up to the companies to do the research on what reporters might be interested in their press conference and reach out to those reporters.
Okay, next question. Where do I drop off media kits, and what is the process for this?
So you can drop off media kits in the AACC press room, which is right next to the press conference rooms. We're going to have 2 long tables at the front of the press room where you can just leave your media kits there. It'll be really obvious when you walk in. And then there'll also be a bulletin board where you can put up press releases or any other information that you want reporters to have.
Okay. If on the day of my press conference, reporter turnout is low, what can I do? Can I talk to the reporters in the press room and ask them to come to my press conference?
So you would not be able to talk to reporters when they're in the press room. We do have a really strict policy at AACC that we want the press room to be a safe place for reporters where they can get their work done or they can just relax for a little while. So while you can definitely come in the press room to drop off your media kits and any marketing materials. No one except for reporters will be permitted past the entryway table.
Okay. If we don't have a big enough piece of news to do a press conference, are there other ways we can participate in AACC's press program?
Yes, we will actually have a digital press room, which will go live sometime in July, and all exhibitors are welcome to post their press releases in that digital press room, and we make the digital press room available to all reporters who are either coming to the meeting or who are covering the meeting remotely, and so that's the place where they're going to be looking for news about the meeting, and it's a really great way to make sure that they will see your press release on the meeting.
Okay. Can reporters join the press conference remotely? How does that work?
Yes, yes. As I mentioned in the presentation, we will have conference phone capabilities. There's no webcast capabilities, but they can call in via conference phone. You do have to work to get your own call-in number and share that with reporters, but once you do that, they are welcome to call in, and we've had a few companies do that in the past, and it's worked out really well.
Great. Can we serve food and or drink during our press conference?
Yes, you can. So what we did last year was that there tends to be a catering company that is connected to the convention center. So any exhibitors who have been interested in providing food or drinks to reporters during their press conferences, we've basically connected them with that catering company to work out exactly, and then you can work out the details of what exactly you want to provide and when you want to provide it.
Good. This is the last question, will there be tech support available in case something goes wrong in the press conference room with the projector?
Yes, there will also be tech support. So if something did go wrong technically, you would basically come to the press room, which again is right next to the press conference rooms, and you would just tell us in the press room that something is wrong. We can get the tech support staff for you, and they'll come and fix it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for the great questions. Please keep in mind that we will be sending you a copy of the slide deck. So if you think of any other questions, you can have your Christine's contact information, so you can ask her questions directly. So I want to thank you, Christine, and thank all of you for joining us, and have a great day.